RP 5-17 slide assembly base. We can create half of this part and mirror it across the center line. Don't see any missing dimensions here. We have an overall of 44, height of 24, 60 on the width. Think I'm still concerned about the 5 millimeters off of each side, and knowing that the little U shape is also going to have that same kind of dimensioning. I would rather control this from center to center than off of the edges. But we'll take a look at that. We have the 4-hole spacing, the through hole, and we're going to create this line to line, but there's going to be some geometry that we're identifying as critical dimensions that we'll want to address. So we'll go into a new metric part. If you haven't created a custom template for the part inch and the part millimeter, still recommend that you do that. We'll let this load, and then because of the orientation, I want it to be able to come into the assembly kind of like it looks in the isometric view or like it looked in the part. So we'll start the sketch on the right plane. And anytime I know I'm going to use symmetry, I'm going to go ahead and put in a center line. So line with a little arrow, grab the center line. My favorite, vertical infinite length, so I won't ever run out. And then we're going to drop it on the origin and see that little yellow box for the coincident. Getting out of it, then I think I have better luck just going ahead and right-clicking and select or hitting escape to get out of the command, rather than unpicking those buttons and trying to figure out what I'm doing. So if I hit L on the keyboard, that will put me back in line as sketched, and then I can start drawing. And I'm doing the click drag, so about there. I'm loosely watching the dimensions, and we get back to that point. I can right click and select again using the middle mouse wheel to zoom. I'll go ahead and complete the mirror. So the center line has the functionality that if I were to revolve this, I would end up with a circular shape, but it also has the ability for the mirror. So if I just click mirror, I have a habit of pre-selecting. So if I window picked from right to left and just hit mirror, I would get the mirrored objects pretty much to instantly. Going from, I'm going to say it's not letting me window pick, so if I grab these single one at a time, okay, make sure these are highlighting, and I'm going to mirror about. One thing with the copy is if these already have dimensions and relations, the copy will bring it over and leave the original. Unchecking that will do away with all of this, and if there are dimensions and relations, do away with them as well. So be careful with unchecking the copy. There's been times where, for whatever reason, I wanted it to go the other way, and rather than deleting this geometry, I would let it go ahead and copy, and then when I do the window pick, just change it to construction geometry if I wanted to retain it. So now I have my shapes. We're going to be 60 millimeters overall, and I'm not worried about the scale. So let's see if my geometry, we go 24, and then the overall will be 44. So this is one of those instances when I'm picking dimensions, I like to pick the object first, and then second would be between two objects where it's not otherwise convenient. And then, so in this case, we can pick on the object, 20 millimeters on the width, and that gets us a fully defined sketch. So if I right click and go back into select, my next choice is, do I include the radiuses in the sketch? And I don't think it adds anything, or I need to generate that geometry right now. So we'll just go into the features and extrude. The other one that I haven't gotten the habit of using is on the right click is the extruded boss base. And let's see, I was going to check the donut by holding the right mouse button down and dragging, and then the last one would be the S key. And somewhere I would maybe add it to the S key, but not finding it except in those two spots. So extruded boss base, it rotates around. Maybe I'll put this on the mid-plane just to have another end condition. So our overall is 280. And if I wanted to reverse it, I would toggle the arrows. We don't have a vertex, a surface, an offset from a surface, or another body, so midplane and blind are our two available end conditions. So we'll go ahead and select that. These are on the sketch were shown with drill points, and rather than create those as a drill point, this is a good time to introduce the hole wizard. So under the hole wizard, if I don't pre-select, when I get to its positions, it's going to ask me, and I need to tell this that I am in ANSI metric. Maybe. Okay, and it's not showing me metric because the pipe taps is selected, tapered tap. So I need to go to a standard standard hole. That one didn't jump out at me very clear, so now we'll be able to go to ANSI metric. The dowel holes generate that little target symbol in the drawings. I know that they want these to be like press for the pins, but realistically we haven't gone through that process. So I'm going to stay with standard drill sizes and not worry about the fits and clearances. That is one thing with the dowel holes. They do have the H and G values that represent the press or the clearance. And then instead of an up to next, we will go back to a blind end condition. They show these. We're not really given a depth. Oh yeah, there it is. Diameter of 5 to a depth of 10 millimeters. So 10 millimeters, and as machinist, I kind of look at that as a min value, and as long as it's 10 millimeters, if we were going to ream this, if we start thinking about and looking at processes, if I'm going to ream this, then this hole needs to be a little bit deeper, and I need to, based on the tolerance, maybe put in a note referencing the reamer is 10 millimeters, and the hole depth can be deeper yet. So this is to the shoulder of the drill point, so not including the tip. And then the other option is depth up to tip, which can be important if I was looking at bringing it really close to that face, but not breaking through. I don't typically put in near side countersinks, and the tolerance and precision. Again, with the callouts, we can utilize those, but we'll save that conversation for optimization. Since I did not select the face that I wanted to start with, it's asking me if I want to create a 3D sketch, and no, we do not want to create a 3D sketch. So if I come out into the work area and pick, then it's going to put me into the point command, and I'm going to be able to select those geometries. Location. All right, so I'm only going to put in the 2 because I want to take advantage of the symmetry. All right, and if I come back and window pick, all right, so I have the 2 points. I have the center line going from midpoint to midpoint. I window picked everything so that it was selected, the line and the 2 points. And when I pick on the mirror, that's going to give me my geometry. So based on that, we are 115 from the end, and then 160 between the points. All right, and then if I do the math, said I would rather be working from centers. On the off chance that I needed to grow or shrink this base, then the 5 millimeters would change, and in the assembly I would be injecting a possible error, at least until I corrected the little U-shape that was going to have this mating pattern. All right, so my 160 linear jumped out, which tells me that if I drag this point, it can move. So I need a relation, and so if I select the point, hold down the control button, select the other point, then I can make that horizontal. That causes everything to go fully defined, and we can go ahead and hit OK. And then if I look at this from the front view and switch over to, let's see where we go, wireframe, hidden lines visible, I'll see the depth of those pins and the drill point. So if I just put an extrude, that would be fine. It would we draw the holes and extrude them 10 millimeters, but we lose some of that functionality, and the hole wizard will most of the time be a preference. It just depends on our decision process. So let's do the hole wizard one more time. I like the S key. The hole wizard is located to be picked, and this is also going to be a simple hole. So our types, now that we've kind of run through it, we have the counterbore, the countersink, the simple standard hole, a tapped hole, the tapered pipe tap, and then it goes into the legacy. So prior to 2004, you had to kind of manually enter in all of this geometry. There wasn't this extensive database, or at least it wasn't as functional. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, they added the counterbore slot and the countersink slot, and then the standard slot to be defined out of the hole wizard. So still metric in drill sizes, this being a 10 millimeter. We'll pick the 10 millimeters, and then this one can be up to next. No near side, far side countersinks unless something specific. And since I pre-selected, we're just going to place it on that face. And then select my point, control select the origin. That will center it by making it horizontal. Add the existing view the existing relations as horizontal. Then our distance is 20 millimeters off of the end of the part. And we pick the edge, pick the point, and place the dimension. Now we have the 20 millimeters. We'll go ahead and accept. All right, if I go to Control 7 to the isometric, I can right click and pick the fillet, which is the same as coming up to the command manager and going into the fillet. Middle mouse button will rotate around, select the joining edge, and I like to put in the radiuses and the chamfers, the fillets and the chamfers at the last. So we have 2 of those at 4 millimeters on the radius, and that keeps completes our geometry. So I want to save this, and we'll go into the assignment. I need a new folder for the assignment. It's going to be assignment 5, and go ahead and pick our base I don't usually put the commas in. If we have a lot of bases, then it's kind of the category first, and then the it's specific afterwards. Gives us something to work from.